Hey everybody, good
Good
morning.
morning.
Hey, this is Miss Grace, and of course,
Yes, this is Grace. Grace is
this
in
is
the house.
this is Dr. Cat, and we're here with our second episode for the Legacy Collaborative Senior Village and our podcast, which again, Miss Grace is supposed to be the host, but I guess I'll be hosting and she be co-hosting. I'm not sure how all this goes, because I'm helping mentor her, and she's reciprocating that and mentoring me. So
Yeah.
that and which is the discussion today: mentorship and mentoring. So, Miss Grace, tell us a little bit about mentorship and mentoring. Give us a definition for it.
Okay, the definition of mentoring is teaching or giving help and advice to another person. Normally, we think of mentoring as an older person giving advice to a younger person, as I just stated, but it's also in reverse. A younger person can mentor an older person.
But that's what we got going on here today.
Right, right.
So, but to add a little context to this whole mentorship, whether it's seniors or intergenerationally, we look at it, and I'm yeah. People that didn't know, I'm a geriatrician, and I work in the space of community development. And through my travels on this journey in community development, the, uh, I've learned that volunteering is essential, especially in your community. And some of the actual data that people don't know is that 23% of older adults they volunteer. And when you look at it, that's 11 million volunteers. That's a lot of stuff you seniors be going on doing.
Yes.
And what that equates to in terms of hours of service, that's 1.9 billion hours of service per year. And it even have an impact on the GDP. So annually, volunteering will actually brings like a equate it equals to the revenue of $3 billion a year. That's a lot.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot. And then as a result, so that's the monetary benefit, but it has so many health benefits, right? Physical, emotional, it helps with the cognitive or, the brain health. And also it helps with, enhances the social supports and it, and one of those big things, social connectivity, right? We got the social
True.
inclusion and it keeps seniors civically engaged, because I remember a lot of activities at the Overlook, like you guys used to make sandwiches for the homeless. You used to mentor because you live in a building that has 7 floors of seniors and 5 floors of
Oh,
family. And y'all
family.
did a lot
Yeah.
of intergenerational mentoring, which helped you guys because y'all kept y'all engaged. So anyway, that was the definition of it. But I want to know a little bit more. What you give me the perspective of volunteering from a senior.
Well, I had never really volunteered before. I worked for the government for 30 plus years.
Uh-huh.
And I retired early. I came home and stayed at home for 1 year. And I decided, you got to get out of here and do something. So that's when I first started volunteering. And the thing about it, my first volunteer job was mentoring at-risk girls, six,
At,
7, and 8
risk of
grade.
what? What were they at risk for?
Inner stages. In Ward 8,
Uh-huh.
well, I was working in Ward 7. I was living in Ward 7 at the time. And we had a lot of girls that didn't have fathers, but we also had a lot of girls who didn't have mothers who was being raised by their fathers.
Oh wow, yeah.
And we had a couple of young ladies who was being raised by an uncle. One in particular, the uncle was gay, and he was also addicted to drugs.
Oh wow.
It was just a whole gamut of young ladies who was, I don't want to use the word destined, but they was in a position where they could have easily fallen through the crack.
Yeah, yeah. That's why.
So I volunteered with this nonprofit called Interstages. and
Oh.
we mentored the young ladies after school with homework, dress, how to be appropriate, uh, keeping them away from boys in in a negative way. So that was my first job, volunteering and mentoring, and I did that for like 5 years.
Well, volunteering, that seems like that's that formal capacity. Well,
Uh-huh.
I think you and I had a conversation about how people volunteer informally because well, not volunteer, but mentor
Hmm.
informally.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of that goes on and people don't even realize it
Yeah,
that you're
we do.
volunteering,
We,
right?
yeah, that's true.
So
We volunteer. We volunteer, but the volunteering we do, we don't really think of it as mentoring.
yeah, you don't, but you are, right? So
Yeah, I
that
am, but then, just in researching this, I realized I didn't know my volunteerism was mentoring.
Mhm.
I'm out there helping people. I didn't know it had okay, tell a person,
Yeah, it
yeah,
correlates. So
correlate, yeah.
yeah, so people
So
don't really
you
understand that.
don't realize
Yeah,
we
but
look at mentoring as being some formal, educational, bookish and all that, when really, it's not. It can be, a lot of other things.
yeah, it can be. And I think about the time you came to me. You was like, Katrina, I want you to mentor me.
Yeah,
I was looking crazy. I know when you asked me, and as a result, so people don't know, this is part of our mentorship, right? Because
yeah,
you
yeah,
all wanted to do a show, and I was like, let's figure out how we build
yeah.
this platform for that. But when you came to me, I was like, here she asked me to mentor her, and I need a damn mentor.
But I think when I first met you, we was doing production at the Ark,
Yes, yes,
and you had just came on the job, and I just like the way you spoke. You have a way of speaking and getting things across. And I'm an actress, and I just, I said, well, I need to get her to give me some pointers. Like how to bring myself out more. Now I can act, like I'm a comedian, right? But
right.
I wanted to get in the situation where everything wasn't always a joke, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but that's part of your personality, though. I think as when you asked me, and I think that those skills that you had,
mm,
I was able to tap in. So it became a mentorship that was beneficial, reciprocated, right? So
yeah,
I wound up being mentor because you hard to work for. So when I was working, when I was working at your building, yeah, you drove me a little batty, but you you held me accountable. So that
mm,
was a part of mentoring. You like, Katrina, you not on time, you not
yeah.
this, you didn't say it like that in a way where I felt it was demeaning or
Oh no, no.
it was really how older people look at you and say you can do better and we
Yeah,
expect better. So
yeah.
that helped me a little bit more because the work that I had been doing previously, I was isolated and
Mm,
I really did. I was developing policies and things like that, and I didn't have that interaction like I used to. So the mentoring wound up being, like I said, I enjoyed it, and I was a benefactor of our relationship. But I think when we look at it, when we look at volunteering, when it's a person older and younger, that's intergenerational, and
it is.
it's very important because I think there are segments and things that are happening in the world that seniors feel isolated from, and as a benefit, younger individual can help fill those voids. But I think as you look at it from that perspective, it also goes in a reverse cycle, right?
Yeah,
Because I also see that then you have done things, and my grandma used to have this saying that there's nothing new under the sun.
that's
So
true.
that wisdom will be if I mentor someone older, they can be able to tell me something that is applicable to a situation and give me a perspective that I never even thought about because they have experience, right?
And then too, with being mentored by a younger person, you come out of this bag of judgment.
Yes.
Older people tend to judge the younger person, right? So
Uh,
it so you come together with a younger person, you find out what's going on with them, and if you look back, the same thing that's happening with them happened to me in the '60s when I was a teenager,
yes, yes. And
right?
we're gonna talk about that as a topic. You and I, we're gonna talk about some
Yeah,
of this racial inclusion work and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Right. But you're right. You're absolutely right.
And like Destiny, my little Destiny.
Yeah.
Like she sometimes put me on my feet, you know.
Uh-huh.
So Destiny was 16,
She's 16 now.
and I'm here. I am 75, and she telling me stuff, right? She's my little mentor.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Ours too. Because every night she's got something new to tell me since
yeah,
she's now living it with me. We had these conversations. I'm like, what in the world? And she's always, she's helpful.
yeah,
She's feeling like you said, the knowledge gap that
yeah,
that caused that disconnect between generations. So
yes,
well, I always thought that young folks like in her age bracket don't have a mind focused on nothing that is of importance. She actually does. And
yeah,
because society is where it's at now with all the racial profiling and all these different things, especially when George Floyd, that
oh,
incident,
yes,
that really shook her. So when she's looking at that in the movies, so what she has on her mind is how I'm going to survive and get where I need to go when I become adult. And is it going to
yes,
be anything left that I could be able to access because it seems like programs are going away. So,
that's
and
true.
as a 16-year-old, I feel like now she flipped my opinion. She got the weight of the world on her
Yeah,
shoulder.
that's true.
So with that mentor piece, that it's critical, it's needed. But I know you and I had talked about mentoring in COVID. How were you able to keep up your mentoring with your mentees? How were you able to do that in the during COVID?
Well, online,
Okay,
I send emails,
okay,
um, talk on the telephone, and of course, you know, I still see them in person,
okay.
but at a shorter length of time, and of course, we're always masked and 6 feet apart. But I'm still able to uh, talk to the young people that I mentor, and uh, we joke and tell stories and listen to each other and encourage each other.
Yeah,
And one thing about the young people, what I find I have to do is like, see them with the mask under their nose or whatever. Uh, okay, in a gentle way, could pull that mask up. If they don't have a mask up, their mask is, like dirty or whatever. I always carry extra one in my purse, and I just hand them one. But you have to do everything with love.
yes.
Yeah, you just can't go out there and like, make. You can't make anybody feel less.
And there's so much of that
Yeah,
going on.
yeah,
I know you told me a story about your teacher and how she mentored you through a particular process and
she's
helped you with your confidence
yeah.
and whatnot. And could you tell me a little bit more and the audience a little bit more about that story?
Well, I was in the 8th grade, and coming out of elementary school, and into high school, and so I was all that. But the thing about it, I was real poor. I was raised real poor, and I didn't have clothes and shoes and stuff like the other kids had. So we had our election, student council election, and my aunt had sent me a dress from New York. It was a green dress. I never liked green, so I dyed it. The Ritz dye.
I had the wrist. I remember the wrist
I
die.
dyed the dress. It was green, and I dyed it black. But I didn't know, with my 13-year-old self, I didn't know that I was supposed to hang it in the shade. I hung the dress in the sun and it came out like tie-dye, you know.
I know what that look like. It's cool now, but I don't think it was cool
Uh-uh.
then.
So, but still, I thought I was all cute. I went to school to the little thing, election thing, and I got laughed at. They laughed at me, and I started crying. And somebody told my teacher, my English lit teacher, that I was in the bathroom crying. And she came in there, and we talked. She mentored me, and she told me not to worry what people say to me or what. She went to school, college. She had two black skirts, three white blouses, and two pair of shoes. And she said that one thing that you have that people can never take away from you is knowledge. So don't
Knowledge.
ever let nobody put you in a position, to have you crying because of what you wear. I have not cried a day since about what I was wearing.
Well, I like what you got on today. It's cute.
Thank you. So her name was Miss Christine Giles.
Uh-huh.
She died 2 years ago, but I always remember that. From that time, from grade 8 until now, I always remember what Miss Giles told
Wow. And see how that mentoring
me. Yeah,
impact you. And
yeah.
like you said, you in your mid to late 70s and
Mm-hmm.
you remembered that ever since, and that was a mentoring spotlight really in
It
your
was
life.
very powerful. It was
Right.
very powerful. Yeah.
Wow. So that's why we got to do more mentoring. We got to be out there and engaging young and old because we could be mentors
Yeah.
of one another in the same cohort of age, could be older, younger. We just, what we have to do is just be available to mentor and be open, right?
Open to it. Yes.
Because we cross people paths all the time. And like you said, do it in love. Do it in love.
Yes. Do it
So,
in love.
yeah,
With
so
no expectations of getting anything in return.
oh no, you're never supposed to do that anyway. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
supposed to, but people do it. But
That's right.
so but thinking about that, and as we get ready to close, let's talk briefly or suggest to everyone what type of mentoring activities. Because I know you and I always compose a list so that people go away with a takeaway. And we talked about like mentoring opportunities, like get involved, especially after COVID, and everything. You get vaccinated, then you go
Yes.
and then you can participate in after school programs because they're always looking for seniors to be able to come and help in the classrooms. And
Yes.
schools make that easy, right? And there's actually organizations because like the one you
The
used,
AARP.
AARP, they have AARP. What's that? Experience Core.
Yes.
That's what's
You know,
that's called. There is opportunities on social media.
yeah. You had the grandmothers,
What is that? The grandparents program.
grandparents
Yep,
program.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and these programs are mostly in all counties, states. Some type of form of this activity is happening everywhere. So it's not just in DC. This is information for wherever you live. And then you got the adopt a grandparent program,
Yes. And
right?
and then also, you have like at the ARC, they have positions for you to volunteer to come, help with the students.
Oh yeah, because the art is more theater, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And I know there's a program, believe it or not, I participated in California, and it was, the stage hands, that's what they used to call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That used to, do everything in the
The lighting and
background and lighting
everything.
all that.
Yeah.
So once they retired, they were so isolated that there was a group that came in that were young that were doing the work now, and it's more what they call artificially intelligent, right? So they got a lot of that type of digital stuff going on. So the young folks decide to get with the old folks and try to keep them up with how they're doing things in today
Yeah.
society. and it became a mentoring group. I thought that was like, wow. So it was a specific kind of mentoring group. I'm quite sure, and not just stage hands, but other people were doing
Yeah,
that.
lighted, yeah.
Yeah, like teachers coming together, and I could see a whole bunch of old police officers. They volunteer. They got the POW program, where police athletic league. I know in Philadelphia that was important, and most of the coaches were retired cops, right?
But one thing we did at the Overlook were to storytell.
Yes,
We
yeah.
would tell the kids stories, and in turn they would tell us stories. And funny thing about it, I was telling them the story of how we used to straighten our hair with the royal crown and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
And one young lady looked at me and said, "Grandma Grace, were you a slave?" See, but
Well,
I didn't know about that straightening comb and that royal crime hair grease and rolling the hair with the paper. You
I do, because I live with my great great grandma. We ain't had no rollers. We used paper bags. Please
yeah.
don't tell nobody that.
But she was so innocent. Grandma Grace, were you a slave? Yeah. So,
That probably was a funny moment. But
yeah,
yeah, but this is interesting about mentorship and mentoring and opportunities. And sometimes you gotta create your own program, like
that's
y'all
true.
did over at the Overlook with the storytelling. Y'all did a lot more too. Y'all used to have game night,
Very nice.
and they had,
Uh,
yeah, I remember
we
playing
had
Uno.
hunts. We had
Yeah,
little
yeah.
discos for the kids and
Oh, movie day.
movie
Remember when
day.
they were off doing spring break, when
Yeah,
we moved DVDs, and
yeah,
y'all guys would pop popcorn and have little
yeah.
treats for all.
So
Yeah,
that was mentoring and giving the kids, getting them away from their parents for a little while, and
yeah,
just letting them see the other side of us, because they used to seeing the older people going in, getting on one elevator and going to our apartment, and then they get on the other elevator, and that was it. But when
yeah,
we started putting together programs for us, they saw us as real people, not as old people.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, that's good. So you get away from stereotypes.
that's
Build
right.
relationship, bridging knowledge, and get and actually
That's
support
right.
one another as well.
Yeah.
So we've come to our end of our segment. As always, Miss Grace, I enjoy our relationship, our mentoring piece that we got going on. And I like sharing with other people
That's
about what
right.
you're doing and how you're progressing. But I'm gonna tell you this: you gonna host this show. This is your show. I said
Uh-huh.
every week. Every time we do this, I'm the one hosting. But once again, y'all, I'm Dr. Cat, and
Yeah.
I am from Dynamic Solutions for the Aging. And
And
this is
I am
Grace.
Grace.
He's Grace from the Legacy Collaborative Senior Village. And we are over in Ward 8 in Washington, D.C., trying to do some great things. And if you have an opportunity, come check us out on the fourth Thursday at 11 a.m. on Zoom, where we present a lot of different agencies in the community that can help with resources. Until next time, stay safe and get vaccinated.